the symbol she shouldn't have drawn. Smash that subscribe button if you think you're brave enough to hear what really happened on Winter Ridge. Last December, I learned what true isolation feels like and how something can hide inside it without you realizing until it's already too late. My name is Nolan. I live in a sparsely populated valley town in western Pennsylvania, where winters hit hard and the streets empty even harder. The week before Christmas, my girlfriend left to spend the holidays with her family in Boston. I stayed behind because my manager insisted I cover year-end reports remotely. I wasn't thrilled, but I figured a quiet house, cold nights, and some leftover whiskey would make the week tolerable. That first night felt peaceful. Snow drifting past the windows, a blanket on the couch, a mindless documentary on TV just to fill the silence. But the second night, something changed. It was around 6:15, dark already, the kind of dark that swallows the entire horizon. I was heating leftovers when I caught a sound under the hum of the microwave. Soft, rhythmic, melodic, not music, singing. At first I thought it was coming from the TV, but when I muted it, the sound lingered. A deep male voice, dragging through a tune so slowly I barely recognized it. I followed the sound toward the front hall, each step tightening something in my chest. By the time I reached the door, the singing was clear, an off-key, drawn-out version of Deck the Halls. I had no neighbors home for almost a half mile. No one walked this road. No one caroled alone. I opened the door a couple inches. A man stood on my porch, directly beneath the motion light. Maybe mid-30s, no gloves, a thin nylon jacket dusted with snowflakes that didn't seem to melt on him. His head was bowed, eyes locked on my welcome mat as he crooned the song in a dragging, breathless voice. He didn't acknowledge me, didn't pause, didn't blink. When the verse ended, I expected him to step back, or at least address me. Instead, he inhaled sharply and began again from the top, this time raising his head, slowly, painfully slowly, until his eyes met mine. I froze. They weren't wild or angry, just vacant. Wrong, like he was awake but not inside himself. I forced a polite nod and murmured, "Thanks, that's enough," then closed the door. But the singing continued, for minutes, then 10, then 12. The same dragged, broken notes leaking through my walls, as though he were inches from the door. I tried to eat, but every sound of his voice vibrated inside my ribs. And then, silence. I crept to the window, expecting him gone. He wasn't. He now stood at the very end of my driveway, perfectly still, his face pointed directly at the house. I cracked the door and told him firmly he needed to leave. No reaction, not even a twitch. When I threatened to call the police, he didn't step back. He didn't argue. He didn't move at all. He just watched. I shut the door, locked it, and retreated upstairs. When I peeked from my bedroom window, the driveway was empty. Relief flooded me. Until 7 minutes later, a voice, his voice, began singing again. But this time, it was coming from my backyard. And when I opened the blinds, he was standing directly below my bedroom window, staring straight up at me, singing "Deck the Halls" like a funeral hymn. That's when I shouted that I was calling the police. And the singing stopped mid-word. For 3 seconds, he stood there in mute stillness. Then he sprinted toward my back door. Carter stood on the porch of the Whitlock residence long after Mia's car disappeared down the road, the cold creeping across his skin despite the heavy sheriff's jacket he wore. The old Victorian house loomed over him like a brooding witness, its broken shutters trembling with the slightest breeze, its windows dim and hollow like the eyes of something that had seen far too much. He stepped inside. The air was stagnant, thick with dust and something faintly metallic. The boards groaned under his weight as he swept his flashlight across the narrow hallway. Chairs lay toppled over. A framed family portrait lay smashed near the stairs. Daniel, Sarah, and 8-year-old Lily grinning in a summer meadow. Lily's smile was crooked and bright. In the photo, she was holding a little stuffed rabbit with one button eye. The same rabbit Carter had found in the forest. His grip tightened on the flashlight. Something shifted behind him. A soft shuffle, fabric brushing against the wall. Carter turned sharply, hand near his holster. Nothing. Only the house settling, perhaps. He walked deeper, into the kitchen. The sink was overflowing with dishes, all crusted over as if weeks had passed. But that contradicted the timeline. The family had been missing for only 9 days. He crouched near the table. Thin scratch marks scored the wood, not random, circular, almost deliberate, like someone had been spinning an object while carving around it. He took a closer look. The scratches formed a ring, an odd pattern, jagged yet symmetrical, like an unfinished symbol. His radio crackled. He flinched. "Sheriff? You inside yet? Over?" It was Deputy Hall. "Yeah, I'm in the kitchen. No sign of forced entry. No blood. But something's off." "Copy. You might want to check the basement," Hall said. "Dispatch just pulled a weird call. A woman claiming she heard screaming from inside the WIT. Lockhouse last night. Thought it was kids. She didn't want to speak to you directly." Carter stood slowly. "Did she say what time?" "Around 2:17 a.m. Carter's jaw clenched. That was the same hour Lily was heard singing on the call Mia had received. The basement door was at the end of the kitchen. Its surface was scratched as though someone had tried to claw their way out, or in. He opened it. A damp, earthy smell drifted up. He descended, his light cutting through the darkness. Halfway down, he heard it. A faint tapping. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. He froze. "Hello?" he called out. No answer. He reached the bottom. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floor, shelves packed with old paint cans, boxes labeled with childhood keepsakes. The tapping stopped. He scanned the room. Then something caught his eye. Tiny footprints on the floor, bare, child-sized, smeared slightly in a thin film of dark dirt, leading toward a wooden crawlspace door at the far end. Carter's pulse began to climb. "Lily?" he whispered. The door rattled. Once, twice. Then it slowly creaked open on its own. Carter raised his flashlight. Inside was a narrow crawlspace, tight, cold, and pitch black. The entire interior was covered in handprints, hundreds of them, small and large, some smeared, some perfectly outlined, as if pressed there just hours earlier. At the center lay a single object, a voice recorder. Carter reached in and snatched it. Dust billowed. Something skittered deeper inside, fast and low. He stepped back quickly and shut the crawlspace door. He pressed play on the recorder. Static hissed. Then a voice broke through. Sarah Whitlock, panicked, breathing hard. "Daniel, don't go in there. Don't." A crash, screaming, something dragging across the floor. Then a small voice trembling, whispering, "Mommy, he's making me draw it." Again. Carter's breath hitched. Static swallowed the rest. He turned toward the staircase, ready to get Mia back on the line, when he saw movement at the top of the steps. A small silhouette, the darkness swallowed the house in an instant, thick and smothering, almost physical in the way it pressed against Carter's lungs. His flashlight flickered violently, then steadied into a trembling beam. He swung it toward the staircase. The girl was gone. Only the faint imprint of small, dirty footprints remained on the top step, fresh, as if she had just turned and walked away. He took a single step forward. A whisper drifted through the house, low, breathless, childlike. "Sheriff Carter." He froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, behind him, above him, beneath the floorboards. Then the recorder in his hand clicked back on by itself. Heavy breathing, scratching. Then Daniel Whitlock's voice, broken and desperate. It watches through her drawings. Don't let it finish the last circle. A deep, guttural growl drowned him out. The sound wasn't human. Carter killed the recorder and bolted up the stairs, instincts screaming. When he reached the living room, the temperature dropped so sharply he could see his breath plume into the air. On the wall, where the family portrait had once hung, a new drawing appeared. Thin lines etched directly into the wallpaper as though scratched by nails. A circle incomplete by a single gap, waiting for one last stroke. Carter steadied himself. "Lily," he said aloud, voice firm. "If you're here, I need you to talk to me." The light snapped back on. Lily stood 3 feet away. Not a ghost, not transparent, flesh and bone, but exhausted, pale, and trembling. Her eyes were red from crying, her hair clumped with dirt. Carter exhaled in a rush. "Lily, thank God. Where's your mother and father?" Her lips quivered. She shook her head. "They're here," she whispered. "But it won't let them leave." "What won't let them leave?" Her gaze drifted to the unfinished circle. "The thing in the walls." The boards behind the wallpaper flexed outward, as though something enormous pushed against them from inside. A long bulge rippled across the wall, moving toward the drawing. Lily cried out and clutched Carter's leg. "It wants me to finish it. Daddy tried to stop me. Mommy too. But it makes me draw it in my dreams." The house trembled. Carter grabbed Lily and pulled her away as cracks split across the wallpaper. Something black seeped through, thick, oozing, alive. The circle on the wall began completing itself. Invisible fingers scratched the final curve. Carter drew his firearm, not because he thought bullets could kill a thing like this, but because the human body reflexively reaches for symbols of control when confronted with the impossible. "Lily!" he shouted over the rising hum. "Break the circle, right now!" She shook her head, terrified. "It hurts when I try." The final line inched closer to closing. Carter didn't hesitate. He slammed his boot against the wall, ripping the paper and splintering the wood. The circle broke, cleanly, decisively. A piercing shriek erupted through the house. The blackness shot back into the walls like it had been sucked through a vacuum. The lights shattered. The floor buckled. Plaster rained from the ceiling. Then, silence. The air warmed. The house stilled. Lily collapsed into Carter's arms, sobbing. He carried her outside, breathing hard as the first rays of dawn cut across the treetops. Deputies pulled up moments later. Paramedics rushed over. Lily was safe, alive. But Carter turned back toward the house only once. Just as the sun hit the porch, the front door eased shut on its own. Not forcefully, almost gently, like something inside had retreated, but not completely left. 3 days later, the Whitlock house was condemned. The authorities found no trace of Daniel or Sarah, no bodies, no blood. Only the crawlspace fill, eyed with handprints that no analyst could explain. Lily now lived with her aunt in another state. She hadn't spoken a word since that night. Not to therapists, not to family, not even to Carter when he visited once. But she drew, endlessly. And every drawing was the same. A circle with a single gap left unfinished. Carter kept the voice recorder locked in his desk drawer for months. He contemplated destroying it more than once. But one night, unable to sleep, he played it again. More static, more breathing. Then something new. A whisper he swore he hadn't heard before. "It isn't done." Carter closed the drawer and left it there. He never returned to the Whitlock house. But some nights, when the wind was just right, neighbors claimed they still heard tapping from inside the abandoned structure. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Waiting for someone to finish the circle.